At sunrise, a merchant carries a locked chest of silver through the gates of a medieval mint. Before nightfall, that metal may become thousands of coins, every one struck beneath the mintmaster's roof. Yet, if the mintmaster quietly drops even a small, unrecorded handful into his own purse, he is not taking profit. He is stealing. He can supervise the factory that manufactures money, pay every worker inside it, and watch fortunes pass across his tables, while legally owning almost none of the coins. So, what did it actually mean to own a medieval mint? And if the money belonged to somebody else, how could the person running the mint become rich? The most useful answer begins in England in 1279. King Edward I was reorganizing the coinage, and a man named William Turnermeyer accepted an extraordinary contract. William was to arrange coin production in London, Canterbury, Bristol, and York. He would place masters beneath him, pay the workers, and bear the operating expenses himself. In return, the king promised him 7 pence for every pound sterling of finished money he delivered. William did not purchase the crown's right to define the currency. He acquired something closer to a royal franchise, the costly obligation to operate the machinery, with permission to retain a narrow payment from the flow passing through it. That distinction changes the entire business. A medieval mint could be run directly by salaried officials, entrusted to a privileged group of moneyers, or farmed to an entrepreneur for a fixed period. Arrangements differed enormously across Europe, but in the version William accepted, 3 kinds of ownership met inside one guarded workshop. The merchant owned the bullion brought through the gate. The king owned the authority represented by the design and standard of the coin. The mint operator controlled the process that transformed one into the other. He could own the furnace, employ the hands, and finance the work, but he could not simply declare that everything produced inside belonged to him. Imagine one of William's mints on the morning a merchant arrives with silver. This is a reconstruction, but every economic problem in it is real. The merchant wants recognizable English pennies before his caravan leaves. William wants the batch because no bullion means no minting fee. The king wants accurately made coins and his agreed share. But before a single hammer falls, the 3 men already disagree about the most important fact: how much silver is actually in the chest. The merchant sees polished cups, broken plate, and foreign coins, and calls it valuable silver. The mint cannot accept that claim on appearance. Copper or another base metal may be hidden in the alloy. Dirt, solder, and impurities may add weight without adding the precious metal needed for legal coin. The mint therefore weighs the delivery, takes samples, and assays them. A quick test can compare a streak rubbed onto a dark touchstone with streaks made by needles of known fineness. A more exact test requires heat, lead, a porous vessel, and the recovery of a tiny bead of precious metal. The result converts a shining heap into a hard number, not its gross weight, but its fine silver content. If William values the chest too generously, he may promise more legal coin than the metal can produce. The shortage then comes out of somebody's pocket, possibly his. If he values it too harshly, the merchant can refuse the bargain, hoard the silver, sell it as bullion, or seek a more attractive mint where that is possible. The first competition between medieval mints therefore began before production. Each needed enough of a margin to satisfy the ruler and pay its costs, but it also needed an offer good enough to pull metal through the gate. Now the mint can quote the transaction. Suppose, only for clarity, that the chest can be turned into 100 units of legal coin. The merchant will not necessarily receive all 100. One authorized deduction belongs to the ruler, that is, the economic core of seigniorage, revenue collected because the sovereign controls the official conversion of bullion into currency. Another portion must cover the work of minting the furnaces, labour, tools, dyes, clerks, and guards. Historians often separate that production charge from the ruler's gain, calling it brassage. But neither deduction means that William can sweep every withheld coin into a treasure chest. His fee is revenue. Profit appears only after the workshop has consumed its share. The chest is opened again, and the physical business begins. The silver may need refining and alloying until it matches the prescribed standard. It is melted, prepared, and formed into metal from which blanks can be made. Each blank must contain the right amount. Dies carry the royal image and inscriptions. One die is fixed, the blank is placed above it, a second die is held over the blank, and a hammer drives the design into the metal. The finished penny looks simple. The organization behind it is not. William needs men who can assay metal, prepare alloys, make blanks, engrave or maintain dies, strike coins, count output, and record what entered and left. He needs charcoal or other fuel, crucibles, scales, weights, hammers, iron, secure doors, and trusted guards. Dies split, tools wear down. Metal is lost in the process and must be accounted for. Wages continue while a furnace is repaired. A guarded shipment between cities can be attacked. The mint resembles a treasure house from the street, but economically it behaves like a factory living on a small toll. Its only protection is volume. The 7 pence promised to William on each pound of finished money sounds small because it was small relative to the output passing through his hands. But a narrow payment multiplied across enormous production could support a valuable enterprise. The Canterbury Mint had produced more than 3 million pennies a year earlier in the 13th century. That is roughly 11,000 coins for every working day under one scholarly estimate. At that speed, a minute saving on each batch could accumulate into a fortune. A minute error could do exactly the opposite. Consider a blank that is only slightly overweight. The merchant may never notice, but the mint has quietly returned more silver than the contract required. Repeat that generosity thousands of times, and the day's margin disappears. Make the blank slightly underweight, and the arithmetic seems to improve until traders weigh the coins, the Crown's officers test the batch, or confidence in the entire currency weakens. William is caught between two intolerant limits. Too much silver destroys his profit. Too little can destroy his contract. This creates the most obvious temptation in the building. Why not shave an almost invisible amount from every coin? Why not report higher wages, exaggerate wastage, or hide some finished pennies before the accounts are closed? A mint provided countless opportunities for fraud because valuable metal repeatedly changed form. But the same transformation created a trail. The weight and quality of the incoming bullion, the prescribed standard, the number of coins produced, the samples set aside, the allowable waste, and the payments due to the king all had to reconcile. England developed one particularly vivid answer to this problem. Coins from production were reserved for examination in what became known as the trial of the picks. The procedure evolved over time, but its purpose was brutally practical. Independent specialists could weigh and assay samples against the legal standard, and the master could be held responsible if the coinage failed. The ruler did not have to stand beside every hammer. He could test the result. A tiny secret saving repeated across thousands of coins might create visible evidence in the sample box. The easiest route to illegal wealth was therefore also a route to investigation. A mintmaster did not merely risk losing a customer. His livelihood depended on political trust, and the same authority that awarded the privilege could remove it. This is why accurate coins were not simply a product requirement. They were the collateral behind his entire business. The merchant, meanwhile, has not disappeared. He waits for his coins, watches the deductions, and asks whether the mint's offer is worth accepting again. Medieval rulers could issue orders, restrict bullion exports, and require metal to be delivered under certain conditions. England at times tied bullion deliveries to overseas trade, yet coercion had limits. A mint with legal authority but empty furnaces earned nothing. This is the part most people miss when imagining a money factory. The scarce ingredient was not the royal portrait, it was bullion. Most rulers did not control rich gold or silver mines. Their mints depended on metal arriving through trade, taxation, conquest, old plate, or foreign coins. England's ability to mint was connected to exports such as wool and cloth because exports pulled silver and gold back toward the kingdom. The mintmaster's real sales job was persuading owners of that metal to exchange it for local coin at a price the workshop could afford. His business could fail in the middle of apparent prosperity. War might interrupt trade. A poor exchange rate might send silver to a neighboring territory. A foreign coin could offer more metal or stronger acceptance. Merchants might decide that bullion itself was safer than newly struck money. The workers still expected wages, and the guards still had to protect the building, but the mint could not manufacture its principal raw material. The man accused of making money from nothing could be ruined because nobody brought him anything to mint. Now imagine a messenger rushing back through the gate with one of the morning's pennies. A trader has rejected it as too light. Suddenly, one disputed coin threatens the entire batch. Did the workshop produce an underweight piece? Was the coin clipped after it left? Is the accusation merely an attempt to demand a discount? The metal value of 1 penny is small compared with the danger now spreading. If every receiver must test every coin, trade slows and the ruler's stamp ceases to perform its economic function. The mint's true product is revealed at that moment. It is not a round piece of silver. It is the public belief that the round piece need not be assayed again at every sale. Standard coin moves more easily than an anonymous fragment because the stamp connects weight and fineness to an authority willing to defend the standard. William is being paid to manufacture that confidence. His furnaces convert bullion into coins, but his controls convert uncertainty into acceptance. That confidence also explains why the ruler cannot become infinitely rich merely by ordering more coins. If each new penny contains the required silver, then more pennies require more silver. The mint changes the form of existing value. It does not summon precious metal from air. The ruler can increase seigniorage, reduce what the bullion owner receives, or lower the precious metal content of the coin. But each choice changes incentives. A debasement may create a burst of revenue and allow the mint to offer more nominal coins from a given amount of silver. It may even attract bullion temporarily. Yet experienced merchants compare currencies, weigh pieces, and adjust prices. Better coins may be hoarded, exported, or melted, while poorer coins remain in circulation, though the exact outcome depends on exchange rules and enforcement. Foreign traders may demand more of the weakened currency. What looks like free revenue at the mint can return as higher prices, distrust, and a new shortage of metal. William usually cannot make this decision himself. The standard belongs to the political authority. If the king changes the weight, fineness, fee, or required output, the operator must reorganize the workshop around the new command. A recoinage can produce spectacular volume, but it may also require more labor, new dies, faster assaying, and additional working capital before the operator is paid. The royal contract that grants access to profit also gives the crown power to change the conditions beneath it. Return to the merchant's chest at the end of the day. The finished pennies are counted into claims. The merchant receives the overwhelming portion because he supplied the silver. The ruler receives the authorized revenue attached to minting rights. The workshop's portion pays the assayer, moneyers, clerks, guards, fuel suppliers, and toolmakers. Only what remains after those obligations is William's gain. Thousands of coins may have crossed his tables. The quantity he can finally call profit is almost embarrassingly small. But that smallness is deceptive. A toll bridge does not own the carts that cross it. A port does not own every cargo unloaded at its quay. Their power comes from controlling a trusted passage that many valuable transactions must use. A farmed medieval mint worked in much the same way. William did not sell money. He sold conversion, certification, and acceptance, and the exclusivity of the royal privilege protected the toll. The danger was that every source of value belonged partly to someone else. The merchant controlled the bullion, the ruler controlled the standard and the contract. Skilled workers controlled knowledge that could not be replaced instantly. Traders controlled whether the finished coin would be accepted. William's asset was the network of trust holding those interests together. If any one of them withdrew, his apparent money factory could become a silent collection of hammers. So the economics of owning a medieval mint rests on a paradox. The operator could become wealthy not because he was free to keep the money, but because he was trusted not to keep it. Every correctly weighed coin proved that the merchant's silver had been returned honestly, that the king's standard had been obeyed, and that the mintmaster's private margin had remained inside its legal boundary. Imagine William finding one stray penny beneath the counting bench after the merchant has departed. The gates are closed. No worker is watching. That penny was made in his workshop, with tools he financed, by men he paid. Yet it is not automatically his. He places it back in the official tray because that small act contains the whole business. Pocketing one coin would give him a penny. Returning it protects the privilege through which millions might pass. The mintmaster could manufacture the ruler's money, but he could not manufacture ownership of it. The silver belonged to the merchant, the monetary authority belonged to the crown, and the completed coins belonged to whoever had paid to receive them. What William truly owned was more fragile and potentially more valuable: the temporary right to earn a little from making everyone else's money believable.